encourage us to channel it through the chat section. But if you must, you're very welcome to unmute your microphone or raise your hand, and we'll give you an opportunity to voice Rotary information.
President, I have an announcement, please.
Please
this
go
is
ahead.
Joy Oga. Do you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, on behalf of District 9213. All right. On behalf of District 9213, I would like to announce that the midterm registration for 97 Discon to Naivasha is on. Rotarians and Retractors alike, they can pay through the district office or Django online, and the amounts are respectively $150 for Rotarians and $100 for Rotaractors. And also to inform you that you have no on-to officer for this conference. Can you please elect an officer, and then he'll be able to inform you right on time. Thank you so much, President. Did you hear me?
Yes, we heard you. Thank you so
louder,
much.
louder,
very vital.
Hello.
Yes, we heard you.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for that vital. Yes, we heard you. You are very loud and clear. Thank you so much for that Rotary information. And friends, I would like to request that for the rest of the Rotary information, kindly channel it through the chat section. But I want us to take a moment to identify with some of our colleagues. That is Rotarians Dr. James Onyoin, who lost his managing partner at Jim Roberts Certified Public Accountants, but also to identify with our own PR director, Rotarian Asman, who lost his grandfather, and also to the entire Rotary fraternity for those that have lost their loved ones. I request that we observe a moment of silence in honor of the lives that we have lost. May the souls of the deceased rest in eternal peace. So friends, this morning I would like to request that we take a moment to not only recognize but also appreciate one of our friends that has actually given of themselves to serve humanity above self. And I would therefore want to invite you, PAG Frederick Chibedi, to kind of guide us through in a short while through this session before we go to our guest speaker. PAG Chibedi, please.
Mr. President, thank you very much. It's the tradition of the Rotary Club of Kampala Daybreak that we recognize people who do put a big contribution to our club and the history of the making of its history. And this morning, Mr. President, you've given me the honors to invite one distinguished Rotarian to do the honors of recognizing our immediate past president, President Jameson Karimani, for the job that he did to the expectation and satisfaction of every member of the Rotary Club, of not only every member of the Rotary Club of Kampala Daybreak, but also for the Rotary fraternity as well. So, Mr. President, this morning, I would have gone through a lengthy introduction of the person to do these honors, but she needs no introduction, especially in this district 913 and also in district 912, because she's the immediate past district governor of the Rotary of district 921, Rotarian Rosette Nabumba Nayenga. You're welcome, Madam Dichi to preside over this function of recognizing our IPP, Jameson Karimani. I will not take so much time, but give you the microphone. The rest of the other details people already know, and I'm not going to go into them again. Thank you. Welcome, my PDG.
Thank you very much for the invitation. It is a pleasure to be with you all this morning. May I recognize the charter, the change maker president, Frederick Takule, the AG Kaziro, the opportunity presidents. I will always remember them. We worked a lot, and this is why I'm here today. All leaders who are represented on the platform, I recognize all of you. Thank you very much, Rotary Club of Kampala Daybreak, for inviting me this morning to preside over this function. The function is to present an award to Opportunity President Jameson Karimani. And I would like to say in a few words that awarding and recognizing our members is very important. And I thank you, Rotary Club of Kampala Daybreak, because it gives greater satisfaction, makes one feel loved. It enhances member retention. It makes you feel that you are motivated to work harder. It builds loyalty to the club. And therefore, I would like to present the award to Opportunity President Jameson. You are being recognized for effectively running the club virtually in a time that was difficult and keeping it vibrant. You pursued the strategic direction of the club by moving forward the construction of the additional early childhood development centers. You donated, together with your members, the masks to people living in Katanga and Naguru slum areas. And together with your club, you did blood donation to the Rotary Blood Bank in Mengo, and 3 members were added. And in doing all that, you made our District 9211 end in a special way. So thank you very much. And because of that, you'll see on the screen, and the award will reach you. You are, on behalf of Rotary Club of Kampala Daybreak, you are given a special recognition, a Rotarian Jameson Kerryman, in appreciation of the outstanding service as an Opportunity President in 2021. This is presented to you by the Change Maker President, Frederick Takule. Thank you so much, my dear Opportunity President, and please don't rest, support your club. Let the club use your skills to grow to the next level and bring more members. 3 was solo, so bring another 3 or 4 as a person and encourage others. I thank you, President, and over to you.
Thank you so much, immediate past district governor, Rosette Nambumba, for honoring our invitation and for always showing up when we invite you. We don't take it for granted. It's such a great joy. I will now give you 30 seconds, Rotarian Jameson Karimani. It is always good to hear your voice when you're being appreciated. 30 seconds to you, Jameson Karimani.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, and thank you very much, my governor, all the Rotarians on call this morning. I am very delighted to be honored this morning for, I will call it a small contribution on my part to the Rotary International and the Club of Kampala Daybreak. I am not very sure whether my network is clear because we are still mourning the Professor Mbonye, who comes from with my neighbor in the village. I have a very poor network, but I hope I am being heard. I want to appreciate all of you, and I put my hands together. And Mr. President, I pledge my support and continue to support Rotary as a whole. Thank you very much. I'm very honored. I'm very, very happy. You have taken away my morning this morning. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Jameson Karimani, and indeed, we appreciate your effort. Friends, with no much further ado, allow me welcome Rotarian Patience to please introduce our guest speaker this morning.
Okay, good morning, Rotarians, once again. Thank you, President. Am I audible?
Yes, you are. Just go right ahead.
Okay. It's my pleasure to introduce to us our speaker today, Dr. Nora Njiwa Bwalia. She is a certified executive coach, organization development and change consultant, a facilitator and trainer with working experience spanning 4 careers, that is accountancy, marketing, insurance, and coaching in 21 countries across 3 continents, Africa, Europe, and America. As a coach, Dr. Nora has served top executives in over 100 organizations. She is the founder of the first coaching firm in Eastern Africa, that is Coach Africa Limited. Dr. Nora has offered performance enhancement interviews for teams in public development and private sectors, supporting people and organizations development for over 20 years. She has a track record of performance in various industries and sectors, including petroleum, health, banking, hospitality, insurance, beverages, and the development sector. Dr. Nora is a board chairperson for Alliance Africa Insurance and Institute of Work Culture and Ethics, and board director for Equity Bank and Majestic Brands, Uganda Kingdom. Dr. Nora is a Rotarian, PHF at level 3, benefactor, a past assistant governor, Avenues of Service Citation Award 2006-7. Dr. Nora holds a doctorate in executive performance from Middlesex University, UK. She is accredited professional certified coach, International Coaching Federation. She has a bachelor's degree in commerce with a bias in accounting from Makerere University, and she holds several certificates from Harvard Business School. Rotarians on call, please welcome with me Dr. Nora Njiwa Bwalia, our speaker for today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, President. Thank you for that wonderful introduction as well. It's an honor for me to be here, especially looking at all the participants on this call, President, really our past governors. I'm honored to be in your presence, and the Daybreakers, thank you for inviting me. Well, we are going to talk about performance, a topic that I love very much, and how to do that in a disrupted environment. I'm thinking that we do this because many of us are living in a situation that is disrupted in one way or another. And so as we go through this, I believe that each one of us will be relating to their own sort of situation, starting with Rotary, because when we talk performance and we are on a Rotary call, it should be really starting with performance, even at Rotary, but also in the workplaces. So let's start at just looking at what the game will be like. I'll talk about performance and what it is, what we understand it to be. And then we talk about disruption. We shall talk about nurturing disruptive minds, how to bring them up. And then the different interventions that are available, and hopefully get some time to look at the questions. So talking about performance, this is something very easy, you would imagine. But whenever you hear about performance issues, especially in organizations, more than 60% of the time, the issue will be about what it is. As in, people understand performance differently. One person thinks, if I come to work every single day, I'm a salesperson. I come to work every day, I drive the car, I go and look for business every day, and I work very hard, maybe 10, 12 hours, I'm working very hard. And then you have a boss that says, oh, they are doing nothing, they don't perform. For the boss, performance is bring in the revenue, bring in a new customer or client. For the person that is driving the car every day, they think they're applying their energy, they're doing so many things, maybe burning fuel as well. And at the end of the day, they are very tired, so they have performed. Now, this issue of performance is so critical that if you don't get it, it's going to be difficult, not even in the disrupted environment, but even in your ordinary environment. So simply put, performance could be the application and use of resources towards delivery of personal and or organizational goals. Now, talking like a coach, if there is no goal really, there is nothing to aim at, and therefore it is just activity. It's not performance, at least in my world. Yeah. And when we talk about performance, some of the most critical determinants of performance is going to be the people, because they are the ones that are going to pull together now all these resources being, it could be your energy, it could be the funds, the time, even your passion, your skills, all of that is being used is being put under that term resources. So these people, and mostly the leaders of the people, are going to be the biggest factor when we talk about performance in any environment. But there is also the culture, the work culture, the systems you apply, the tools that you use. All of this is going to be important. And for this discussion this morning, I want us to concentrate on the people factor, because people will determine the culture. They will determine the nature of systems and the tools that you use. So having looked at that, and I want you to remember that in this case, we shall be looking at performance and relating it more to people. Let's see what it is we can say about disruption. There are so many things you could talk about disruption, especially in our environment now. But let's say disruption will be in a situation where irregular functioning has been messed up. The regular is no longer functional. And for example, I tell people, rain, when it is a rainy day, that's not disruption. So a person can't say, oh, you see, today we didn't work because it rained. The issue will be what's new. Rain is a norm in our kind of environment, so it's not disruption. Disruption would be if there is something that is out of the ordinary, where the normal rules can no longer apply. For example, now you would be saying, oh, curfew is coming up and curfew is disruption. In Uganda now, curfew is no longer disruption. In fact, the absence of curfew maybe could be the disruption. So keep that in mind, that disruption is where the normal sort of rules are no longer applicable. Maybe the mathematicians on the call could think about, we've been using base 10, that's what we know. What if you wake up one day and it is base 6 being applied? Now that is disruption. I would also say that disruption, and the way we are looking at it these days, it's not new. It's been there for a long time. Well, I say a long time, at least from about 1997, when Professor Clayton, Harvard Business School, came up with his book, The Innovator's Dilemma. That's when we started seeing disruption in the way that we look at it today, mostly relating it to innovation. So it's been around for a while, and we cannot use the excuse of having COVID to not to work around it or to handle it, because it was there, the term at least was there before we started COVID. And then disruption benefits the disruptors. That's important to remember. If you wait to be disrupted, then it's going to be a very, very difficult situation. I had some time from people that used to do things crudely a long time ago, and maybe even these days in California, it's done. When they are fighting fire, you see a big fire coming up, you will start a fire your side and direct it towards the big fire so that you create a gap. When the fire comes, it won't consume you. So if you're going to remain productive in these kinds of environments, you need to find a way of becoming a disruptor yourself. And something critical for us this morning is that disruption, it takes a disruptive mind to disrupt and to survive disruption. So if you're on a call and you're looking at how do I retain that ability to perform, that is working towards your goals, you are going to have to learn how do you get a disruptive mind, or how do you support your people? Because we are talking to leaders of organizations. How will you support your people to become or to remain disruptive, at least in their mind? And talking about that, I don't have to invent anything new. Again, Professor Bill George has given us the solution, working around how do you help people that are working with volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous kinds of situations? How do you help such a leader to remain afloat? So he gives us another VUCA, which he calls VUCA 2.0. So we look at this, and then we shall see the disruptive minds that can play this sort of game. So in VUCA 2.0, the first thing is we must have a vision. You do not change when the situation changes. You don't change the intention, the purpose of your existence. You might change the goals that are going to get you there, the milestones, but you don't have to change the purpose. You need to know very clearly, where is that North Star? Because you have to find new and more interesting ways of getting there. And knowing it is not enough, but causing other people to understand it in the same way. That is, again, getting back to defining what performance is in that setting will be very critical. And then creating understanding. And this time, it's not only understanding yourself and even your organization, but you need to understand broadly what is happening. And you look at the entire ecosystem, not only your little small industry. If, for example, you are in the business of refreshment, you will need to understand everything around refreshment. What causes refreshment, the whole value chain from beginning to end. Now, with that new understanding, you will probably start getting indications of what you could do differently. If you focus on your organization or your market alone, or even your country alone, it's going to be very difficult to come up with new disruptive ideas. And remember, you are working with disruption. And we are saying you need to become disruptive in order to handle disruption. So understanding is critical. And then courage, because you need to be able to take on a lot more risk, yeah, to go beyond the ordinary, to make decisions that are going to, audacious goals. So you need the courage in order to survive and to be adaptable, to move and implement and learn on the go. As you move, you are also seeing what's working, what's not working, and you are changing, yeah? It's a new way of working. And remember, again, I told you that it takes a disruptive mind. So how do you then get to nurture, especially the leaders, to be able to apply VUCA 2.0 so that they can make their people survive in difficult environments? If we have people that probably do some bit of either the mind people, psychologists, or people that know about the brain. They tell us that we have 3 different types of brains. Yeah, we have the executive brain, which is the one that is, you know, like around here. That is the brain that allows you to think outside the box. These days, I've heard somebody say outside the building, you know. Yeah, this is the brain that you need to activate. Unfortunately, it's a very obedient brain. It will not be activated in situations, for example, where people feel threatened. If I feel that my very survival, either in this job or, you know, like my being is threatened, I'm not going to be thinking creativity and how to come up with a new product and stuff like that. So in order for us to nurture disruptive minds, the very first thing is going to be do anything and everything that is going to manage that amygdala, that particular part of the brain that feels I'm threatened. Yeah. Nurture it, calm it down so that it can you can activate your executive brain. Yeah. So what is it that we can do in order to activate this executive brain? These are some of the things we could do. First, if you have an organization, try to find, how do I reverse the negativity bias? Negativity bias is our natural ability, actually, and tendency to pick everything negative comes, you know, we hold it longer, we pick it faster. So if I'm in an environment that where I want people's creative juices to flow, I will find a way of getting everybody together. Let's talk about what is working. Let's talk about how we managed to survive the last time we were disrupted. Let's talk about the positive things and try to get our minds off the negative things instead of empowering that. When we look at social media, we read the difficult, you know, negative news and stuff like that. So be creative around reversing the negative bias, and then cultivating peace around, even in a home. Can you do something so that you are creating a peaceful environment? Make people feel safe, make people trust you. Yeah, talk with them, find out what matters to them. Yeah, match people and tasks very well. In a disruptive environment, it doesn't matter what the structure is. Try to look at who is able to do what better, rather than focusing on structures. That might just help you to cause people to use more of their prefrontal cortex and be more creative. Then we work towards winning hearts and minds. And you won't win hearts and minds as a leader if you won't speak with your people. Yeah? We want to communicate and open all the lines of communication. We break the barriers, whatever the barriers are. It's up to you to determine where are the barriers. Is it the levels? Is it across functions? And what can we do? Get your people in, because when you talk with your people, they will give you the solutions. They are the ones who are nearest to where it's happening. And when you draw them in, you will find the solutions. So these are some of the things we do in order to nurture disruptive minds, as in to create the kind of person that is going to help us get out of a difficult situation. And lastly, this actually came from Sam. He said, I shouldn't forget talking about accountability. Now, if we want people to be to do all of this, we have to remember that they should be accountable. And accountability has 2 portions. We want them to account. You are using resources. Remember, we talked about performance being application of these many different resources towards achieving a goal. So they need to account for the resources they are using. But the other part of accountability is they need to be able. So how do you make sure that they are able to do that. That is the second part of accountability that we are going to look at now. There are many different interventions that we could use to make sure that we are getting this and getting it right. The interventions we know, mapping them on this matrix. On the one hand, we have interventions that focus more on the problem. Yeah, what is the problem? What caused it, and how do we sort it? And then on the other end of the spectrum, we have interventions that focus on the goal, the solution. Yeah, how do we get there? Not necessarily looking at the problem. Then we have interventions which are more telling. There are interventions which depend on somebody or people that know, bringing a solution and giving it or telling it to the one that doesn't know or the one that needs it. So they tell because they have the information. Then on the other end of that spectrum, we have interventions that are focused more. We have, we have interventions that focus more on asking, finding out, inquiring. So when we look at all of this, we see that in these current circumstances, we cannot use many of the interventions. Consulting doesn't work anymore, and training might not work because what the information they are using might not be applicable. So, well, the consultant does not have the information as well, or doesn't know. We won't use the problem side because we don't want people to get even more depressed. So in this case, we get to coaching because coaching is forward-looking and I don't come with a solution. Coaching is partnering with clients to provoke their thinking so that they can be creative and then they come up with their own way forward. That's why I believe that this kind of a situation, if we are going to create disruptive minds, then we need to apply coaching. So I end by summarizing, what do we do when we want to get to this kind of environment? We define what performance is. We focus on people, especially leaders. And then these leaders need to apply VUCA 2.0 as they nurture disruptive minds. That's what I could fit in that time, President, and over to you now.
Yes, thank you so much, Dr. Nora Njuba, for your wonderful presentation. Indeed, the times we are in, the question of defining performance and actually disruption can be a bit of a challenge. So friends, Dr. Nora just triggered a discussion. I can see many hands and I see so many questions in the chat room. So I'll now invite you, Rotarian Wilberforce Amanya, to guide us through the Q&A session. Over to you, Rotarian Wilberforce.
Thank you, President, and good morning, everyone on this call this morning. Welcome at Kampala Daybreak. I hope I'm audible, Mr. President.
100%. Just go right ahead.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Rotary Nora, Dr. Nora, for doing justice to this topic. Indeed, we need to nurture disruptive minds. And at this point in time, fellow Rotarians, we are taking on the Q&A, and you raise up your hand raise up your hand, and we shall be able to call on you to make your question be heard and be precise. And also, you can put your questions in the chat room. We have Nambatia Grace, Rotary Nambatia Grace. Please unmute and take it up and put your question to the presenter. Rotary Nambatia. Rotary Nambatia, are you there? Okay. As we wait to hear from Rotary and Nambate, we have a question from CP Evan. He's asking, how do you advise? Yes, Rotary and Nambate, you can take it up.
Yeah, thank you. I would like to thank Nora very much. And actually, she has addressed the topic so well. In my mind, I was thinking about the need for disruption in the educational sector. And I have one question or one observation that I think we lack a lot in learning how to manage our interior, managing our inner selves. We mostly mentored on managing the external world. So what's your take on trying to see that if one is mentored to manage the interior, probably the disruption could lead to success. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we respond to one by one?
Amanya, unmute yourself and proceed.
Okay.
Rotarian Amanya, please unmute yourself.
Yes, we have a question from CP Evan. He's asking, Dr. Nora, how do you advise a CEO who makes key decisions without involving top management? That is a question from CP Evan. If I can repeat, how do you advise a CEO who makes key decisions without involving top management? Rotarians, please raise up your hand and be able to be part of this discussion. We shall be able to call on you and make your question to the presenter. If you have a comment, you have a compliment, please raise up your hand. I am checking in the chat room. We have no questions, more questions yet. Maybe I can invite Dr. Nora to take on those two as we wait for other questions, set of questions to come in. Please. Yes, Professor Augustus Nwagaba, please take it up from there. CMP Muyenga.
Yeah, thank you very much, President, and thank you very much, Dr. Nora Bwaya, for the wonderful presentation. Now, my question is Dr. Nora has very ably addressed the issue of disruption. But how do you address disruption that can negatively invoke lack of performance, and yet the same disruption was aimed at enhancing performance, but then it can meet resistance. So how do you now work through that resistance to ensure that you keep the desired performance?
Okay.
Thank you, Professor Augustus Nwagaba. Yes, you can just raise up your hand, just go to reactions, click the raise up of your hand and raise up your hand and put the question straight to the presenter. Or you can go to the chat room and put your question. We shall be able to pick it up and read it. And in the interest of time, Mr. President, allow me to let in the presenter, Dr. Nora, to take on those three questions as we wait for other questions to come up in the chat room. I thank you. Dr. Nora, you can take it up from there as we wait for other questions.
Thank you so much, Rotarian Amanya. Thank you so much. The first question we got was from Grace, and she's talking about starting with self. And I think, Grace, you are very, very right. This time I was talking about disruption and how we get it. And it was, the focus was with leadership, the people that have organizations, because that's how it was said. Otherwise, you are right, we always start with us. Because, for example, I talked about creating peace around you for the people that you lead. It's not possible for a mind that is all over the place to create a peaceful environment. So we start with ourselves. And where you say applying this to the education sector, that one I'll refer you to Sam. He's the one that has a lot in terms of youth and education and helping those people to manage the disruption. But it is true, we always start with the interior. So if you haven't managed the disruption inside you, then don't even dare to start going outside to manage the disruption for your bigger team. Now, Rotarian Amanya, you talked about the CEO that comes up with they want to handle this without involving top management. Actually, it's not even top management now, because you never know where the solutions will come from. Right now, you have to involve everybody, everyone along the chain. You could even say, for the ladies that still go to salons, yeah, you could say, as I'm getting my hair done, I bring up a question and I ask this person that knows absolutely nothing about my industry. They could come up with a question or a suggestion that will trigger innovation. So we don't even talk about involving top management alone or your people. So for this kind of CEO, you can be sure you won't survive. It just will not be possible. Because even a long time ago, we've heard about David McKay turning around. He talks about turning around the ship. Yeah, David McKay, a long time ago in the World War, he found out that himself alone as the captain of a ship, he could never, however bright he was, he could never have the wisdom that was more than the 135 people that he had on the ship. So his idea was, pick on the brains of these 135 people. And no matter how good your opponent is, you will win, because the collective will be better than the one person. And then my professor, thank you so much. Yeah, professor is talking about disruption. What if the disruption that is intended, yeah, to address the situation is what is being fought, yeah? People are not accepting this. And we get back, when we talk about VUCA, the VUCA 2.0 that I mentioned, we start by that vision. The vision that you have as a leader needs to be a shared vision. If it is your vision alone and I don't see me in it, I'm not going to apply me. Because right now, you need people's hearts and minds. So we get back to convincing these people, talking with them, caring about them, so they know you have their back, and then more likely they will buy into your vision if it is also addressing something that they value. So your vision needs to include me, needs to include the different stakeholders. And when we come up with this disruptive idea, let it be coming from a number of us. Let us buy into the idea, and then we can execute. Because remember, right now, we don't even have so much time that we are going to take to announce and then get to disseminate. We need to include people right from the generation of the idea. By the time it's landing, we are running to implement. That's what I can say about Professor Nwagaba's question. And I hope that we are going to share ideas as well, at least in the chat, because I know you are a source of knowledge. All of you are leaders. So please share with each other in the chat what you think about the questions.
Thank you, Dr. Nora. We have more sets of questions, the second set of questions, and I'm going to read from the chat room, beginning again with Rotarian Grace Nambatia. She's asking, Dr. Nora, what are the challenges envisaged in relation to accountability in disruptive situations? I read it again. What are the challenges envisaged in relation to accountability in disruptive situations? Then we have one from Rotarian Esther from Mumbari. Please, I request to be reminded what VUCA VUCA 2.0 mean. Esther there is asking for a reminder on that. I think she did not pick it well. Then from PP Samuel Musana, thank you, Nora. Is it then possible to continue with disruption as a norm of running the organization? And won't you run a risk of disrupting the organization's performance, burn out and go bust? I hope you get that, Dr. Nora. Then we have one from Sam Wire. Mentoring the youth is a broad subject. I would be happy to give a presentation on this. Okay. Then we have one from Rotarian Charles. How can we take advantage of disruptive environment to change the organization for better business performance? So those are the questions from the chat room. And please, if you can have a question, raise up your hand and put it straight. I can see we have Dr. Tusu. Pick it up from there, Dr. Tusu.
Thank you, just Tusu. Please, thanks, Nora, for the talk. And I know where you are, Sam is lacking somewhere in the background. Permit me to disrupt you a little bit and ask you to say something about performance in the disrupted family environments. If you can put that in a context which advises Rotarian. Thank you, Nora.
Thank you, Dr. Tusu. We have DGE Mike Kennedy Sevaru. Please pick it up from there and shoot your question. DGE Mike.
Yeah, thank you very much, moderator. Thank you very much, Nora. That's a good way of focusing on very important aspects like that. I just want to tap the brain on an issue of interest in this kind of environment. How do you create hope in a situation of hopelessness, of disruption? We have people who have lost their jobs as a result of this disruption. How can they be hopeful? Or how can they be hopeful? Thank you.
Thank you, DGE Mike. In the interest of time, I will cap this one up with this comment and compliment from Maseke Kainowisho, our IPP from Bukoto. What an amazing presentation, Dr. Nora. Thank you. I'd like to end it up there and allow the presenter to take on those questions. And for those who have more questions, we'll put them in the chat room and we shall be able to share them with the presenter. Dr. Nora, take it up from there. I think that is the last set of questions I can give to you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. The VUCA one, I've put it on the screen to save time. Grace asked challenges related to accountability in these kinds of disrupted environments. Yes, there is definitely a challenge because, for example, when we are setting performance, like I said in the beginning, when we are defining performance, we typically define the kind of indicators of that performance. For example, in Rotary, we shall say you will have performed when you do the payment, the participation, and then what is the A? Attendance. Yeah. Now, when you change, when a disruptive environment like this comes, now in this case, performance will include attendance. Attendance is no longer me going to Kampala club. Attendance now is me being on this call. And then how do you account for that? Because before we used to get physical cards that we would get back. So when the environment changes, we need to redefine what performance means. And when we redefine what performance means, along with it should be a set of a new way of tracking that performance, a new way of accounting. Yeah. So we cannot use the old system to account for the new way. So these there are many challenges, and the challenges are mostly when we change one side and we don't change the other. And Samuel talked about disruption becoming a norm. Actually, by definition, the minute it becomes a norm, it's no longer disruption. Yeah. Maybe it could be revolutionary, as in you are coming up with something that is going to change the market, but we call it disruption if it isn't expected. It just turns up and changes everything around. And therefore, when you hear, for example, people are saying new normal, new normal. Yeah, if you haven't learned now to live in this, it's no longer new, because this is what it has been. So yes, we just need to learn to live in this environment where we plan on the go. 10-year strategic plans, they are good. They give us the North Star, but we cannot depend on them. And this is how it will be. So we just need to construct or reconstruct the organization and the structures and take away all the frills that have been making it heavy, so that we can be lighter and move faster. Tusu, my DG Tusu, he's saying performance in disrupted family environments. Actually, the VUCA that we see here, VUCA, when Professor Bill was coming up with VUCA, I don't think he had the family environment in mind. However, I have found that this family environment can also be treated, if I call it that, using VUCA, because we need to we need to get together as a family and we see where is the North Star. If we do not do that and everybody has their impression of what the vision for this family is, it's going to be very difficult to hold things together. That's why you hear there is a lot more domestic violence now, because when the environment changes and the vision, we are not very clear about the vision, so we start doing things the same way. The man is expecting services in exactly the same way, where a situation has changed. Right now, we have maybe 20 people in the house. And if they are still asking for their services in exactly the same way, it may not work in the new environment. So we need to get back to the table and see what is it that we are aiming at. What has changed and how do we change with it? We need to create understanding of our new family environment with all the stakeholders. These stakeholders might include even the neighbors. So can we understand the environment we are working with now in the disruption? And I said the entire ecosystem. And with that understanding and with all of us together, we shall have the courage to move forward in different ways. And then we become adaptable, all of us in the family. If we are changing diet, we change diet having negotiated with everybody, so that children are not throwing tantrums because things are not the way they used to be. Yeah. So girls, for example, there are so many girls getting pregnant. I heard on the news yesterday what is happening in Acholi. It is so terrible that people's children and their future, yeah, being shattered because it's a new family environment. If your children are staying with you all the time, rather than just the 3 weeks or 4 weeks as it used to be, there needs to be a new set of activities coming up. Now, you won't come up with those activities alone because you don't know. So involve everybody and be adaptable, even as a family. Now, the time has really run out. DGE Mike, he says, hope for the people that may have lost jobs. I will draw from Aristotle. Aristotle said, where your needs meet the needs, where your talent meets the needs of the world, therein lies your vocation. So in this kind of environment, can you stop focusing on how sad the situation is? Look at what your talents are, and then ask the situation, what are the needs in my community that can be sorted with my talent? If you ask the question, you will find new ways of applying your talent, your skills, and whatever you have to bring to the world. And if you can't do that, at least look at what is it that is hurting in the environment, and then you find how do you apply the new you now to that environment so that you can create some kind of income for you. Thank you so much, and I'm sorry the time is up.
Thank you, Dr. Nora, for that interesting discussion. And finally, President, from the commentary, members are asking to share the link for this discussion for members to have a follow-up in their private time. Finally, I would like to thank you all. Over to you, Mr. President, to continue with the fellowship.
Thank you very much, Rotarian Amanya. And also thank you so much, Dr. Nora Njula, for doing justice to the subject. No wonder you're the first female guild president of Makerere University. So friends, for those of us like myself and CP Samuel that thought that washing hands without expecting anything to eat is a disruption, it is a no more. So I want to invite you, PAG Frederick Chibedi, to move a vote of thanks to our guest speaker. PAG, please. But as PAG makes his way, fellow Rotarians, Rotators, and all guests on call, I would like to request that we borrow strictly 10 minutes of your time to allow us conclude the fellowship. I want to request that you allow that and we carry on. PAG Frederick Chibedi, please, you're welcome.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. And I'm going to first disrupt you by alerting you that I'm not going to take 50% of the 10 minutes. I'm only going to take 1 minute. To move a vote of thanks to Dr. Nora Njua. Many people who don't know you will call you that, but for us who know you very, very well, Mama Bwaya, and I suspect somewhere in the background. I want to thank you so much for this wonderful disruptive thinking that you have given us so that we're able to bring to the change and be able to remain relevant even in these very disrupted times. When you are presenting, many people hold their thanks in the chat room, and many people, when they were asking questions, they did also hold their thanks. So this is just the official thank you to say we very much appreciate, and we know that PAG somewhere is also in the background there, and probably the president and the board will consider that other topic that is suggested. We don't take for granted the number of people that have been here and the questions that have been asked, and we know that this has been very beneficial to all of us. And thank you for putting aside your time and committing yourself to this, and being able to teach us how to respond in these disruptive times. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Past Assistant Governor Chibedi. We would like to request you, Dr. Nora Njua, that you kindly receive that certificate of appreciation as our token of appreciation and recognition for having shared your knowledge and expertise in the subject of performance in a disrupted environment. We thank you so very much. So allow me, friends, invite Rotarian Irene Katende to precisely give us the statistics for today. Rotarian Irene, please.
Thank you, President, and good morning to all of you members on this call. I'll quickly take you through the statistics. This morning, I've managed to capture 230 participants, 59 visiting clubs, 4 Rotaract clubs, and 2 guests. The clubs were the Rotary Club of Mukono, Bugolovi, RC Makindye, RC Kiwature, RC Sonde, Kampala, RC Sunrise, Ulova, RC Muyenga, Kampala Alibad, RC Nkumba, RC Chengera, Bweyogere Nambole, Kampala South, RC Chadondo, RC Kira, Kampala Maisha, E-Club Uganda Global, RC Makindye West, Tinda Metropolitan, RC Namasuva, Arua Eco City, RC Kololo, Kampala 7 Hills, RC Kansanga, RC Chitante, RC Natete, RC Entebbe, Nkumba, RC Bulindo, RC Masindi, Seguku, Mbale Metropolitan, Kampala Nalia, Nsanji, RC Bukoto, RC Mutundwe, RC Masindi, RC Mengo, RC Ntinda, Kampala Central, RC Chihihi, RC Garuga, Ntinda Metro, Ruaga Lakeview, Masindi, RC Gulu, RC Kasangati, Chireka, Kampala Palms, RC Inner Wheels, Ruaga Lakeview, and Muyenga Breeze. The Rotaract clubs were Rutamu, Mulago School of Nursing and Midwifery, MOOPS, and Wandegea. Our guests today, I've managed to capture Evelyn Ogwal and Cedric Ranchiko. And I would like to thank the members of Kampala Daybreak for turning up in big numbers. At least 70% of the members have attended this fellowship. The club of the day is RC Kihihi. Thank you all members for attending our fellowship, and over to you, President.
RC Kihihi.
You skipped fourth photo. You skipped fourth photo.
Thank you.
Central.
Thank you very much, Rotarian Irene. I would like to tender our apologies for those Rotary clubs that may not have been mentioned for one reason or the other, but would rather request that please do register attendance in your chat section and we'll be able to recognize it. So in Daybreak, where there is Yedida Nyakato, you will find Yerusa Nyangoma. So as Yerusa Nyangoma prepares to give us the final toast, I would like to take a moment to appreciate each and every single one of you for making time to come and fellowship with us every Thursday morning, 7 to 8. But for today, I would like to mention special appreciation to you, DGE Honorable Mike Sebaru, DGE Francisco Semwanga, all the past district governors led by our immediate past district governor, Rosette Nabumba, our district leaders, assistant governors, changemaker AGs, and I can never forget my comrades, the changemaker presidents of this very Rotary year. It is indeed very warming to have you with us every morning. So, Rotarian Yerusa Nyangoma, kindly give us the final toast as we get to the end of our fellowship. Over to you, Rotarian Nyangoma.
Thank you so much, Changemaker President, for this opportunity. And my name is One to the wonderful presentation, participation, and discussion we've had. I propose that we give a toast to Rotarian International.
Rotary the world over.
Thank you so much, friends. God bless you. And
Rotary the world over.
Rotary is over. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Rotarian Kibedi. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you, Yerusa? How are you?